The Heritage Foundation decided to create the National Coronavirus Recovery Commission because we wanted to bring together private sector leaders, those who have expertise in medicine, small business owners, those who have experience in government, to make sure that we were putting forward the best recommendations for governors, local leaders, the federal government, and the private sector.
Number one is transparency. As much transparency we bring with what the Chinese are actually doing, then people will make smart decisions about doing in China. I think that's the most important one. The second is people are talking about what can we do to keep people from doing business in China. And I would flip that on its head and say, why can't we make it easier for people to do business in America? So let's look internally and take away every excuse from anybody to want to do business here. And I think the third one is we're never going to make everything here, and we don't need to. But we don't have to do business with China. If you just take, for example, India, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and say Indonesia, that's an industrial base that's every bit as cheap, every bit as accessible, every bit as useful as China. We can do business with those guys. So I think we need to be smarter about doing business with our friends.
There's always concern when you have a nuclear weapons state if you don't know who the next leader is. It could be a smooth transition, or it could be a power struggle where everyone's trying to grab the ring of power, and then who has control of the nuclear weapons and the military. So it will be of great concern if Kim dies without some formal succession plan.
Many thought Kim Jong-un was a bold economic reformer, and we saw that wasn't the case. So the U.S., we have to wait and watch. We need to make sure our contingency plans are up to date. We need to closely coordinate with our critically important allies, South Korea and Japan. We need to resolve this cost-sharing negotiations with South Korea. The U.S. is asking for an exorbitant increase in compensation for our forces stationed overseas. We need to resolve that issue. And we also need to maintain or actually implement maximum pressure, which has not really been the case. We need to enforce U.S. laws and UN resolutions while continuing to have the door open for diplomacy. But unfortunately, Pyongyang's been the one that's repeatedly rejected Washington and Seoul's efforts at engaging with the regime.